Previously in Amazing Spider-Man, Kraven the Hunter hired Taskmaster and Black Ant to capture animal-themed villains for reasons not yet known. Dr. Kurt Connors, aka the Lizard, is teaching at Empire State University again now that he has his lizard transformations under control. Recently, Kurt got a second chance with his family when they were brought back from the dead as clones. When they began to break down due to cellular degradation, he had to inject them with his lizard formula to save them. He's trying to convince Peter to enroll in his class after Peter's qualifications were revoked because of a plagiarism scandal. Arcade, a death trap manufacturer, is explaining to a mercenary that he can't pay them because he didn't get paid either. No one wants elaborate death traps anymore. It's a buyer's market right now. Arcade has to cut the call short when a spear is thrown into his screen by Kraven the Hunter. Kraven has a business proposition for Arcade and wants him to build something. Mary Jane and Peter are having dinner with the Connors, who are living in the sewers due to their current appearance. Kurt is pressing Peter for an answer about joining his class. Kurt's son Billy tells Pete he should join. Billy would give anything to go back to school. Kurt tries to move away from this topic, but Billy keeps going. He mentions the X-Men school, but his mom reminds him that he's not a mutant. A friend told Billy that he has a kid in his class with horns, and nobody cares. Kurt asks him how he knows this, since he's not supposed to be talking to his old friends. Billy says he's using a fake account, and Kurt snaps. He's not allowed to have any contact with the outside world. It's too dangerous. Billy snaps back, asking who is it dangerous for, him or everyone else. He storms off while calling his father a liar. He's not trying to protect Billy, he's just afraid Billy will become a monster, just like him. Kurt walks Peter and MJ out and apologizes for how the dinner ended, and for staying in his lizard form for the duration. But he does it so Martha and Billy don't feel different. Pete tells Kurt there's no need to apologize. Peter doesn't know how Aunt May put up with him when he was a teenager. May is having dinner with her late husband's attorney, who tells May that she's broke, but she isn't concerned. This isn't the first time she's been faced with financial woes. Plus, she's been on a hot streak with online poker. An ex of hers taught her how to play and said she was a natural. That's when the sleazebag tries to make a move on May, which she doesn't take kindly to. She throws wine in his face, says he should be ashamed of himself, and leaves the restaurant. May hears some commotion in an alley and decides to intervene. 3 bozos are trying to get a homeless guy to fight club them. When May interrupts, she's quickly told to leave, but she pulls something out of her handbag that transforms her into a monster. After the jabronis scram, she tells the guy not to worry. It was just a holographic projector her nephew designed. He won't let her bring him to a hospital, so she takes him for a decent meal instead, at the expense of Mr. Alstetler. May and John Doe chat over their meal, and he tells May his life wasn't always like this. He used to be a journalist. May then brings up that Peter used to work in the newspaper business when the building starts to rumble. The Rhino then tears his way through the restaurant. He's running from Taskmaster and the Black Ant. They want to know which direction he went after tearing through the building. May says if she knew, she'd tell them the opposite direction. Taskmaster then goes to draw his sword but is stopped by Spider-Man. Peter saw the duo on a Jumbotron, that's how he knew what was going on. Spider-Man webs up the mercenaries, but that's when Rhino returns to attack the pair. He asks Spider-Man if he's in cahoots with these two, to which he replies no. And despite his recent job with Boomerang, Rhino has tried to go legit recently. So when he tells Spider-Man he's not associated with these guys, and that Taskmaster and Black Ant have been hunting him across the city for days, Spidey offers to team up to take them down. Taskmaster has been studying videos of Spider-Man since they last met in preparation for their next encounter, and it's paid off. Black Ant, meanwhile, isn't getting anywhere with Rhino, so he decides to supersize a gun to try and take the man-beast down. He misses the shot and the blast hits the restaurant. While Spidey looks through the wreckage, Rhino is captured. Spider-Man desperately digs trying to find May. Taskmaster decides to take advantage while Spider-Man is distracted, but is sent packing embarrassingly quickly. Rhino's cries for help go unanswered, and he swears revenge on Spider-Man as the mercenaries depart with their target. Spider-Man finds May and the others, but not in the state he was expecting. May is tending to the wounded and directing others on how to increase the airflow. Seeing his aunt like this reminds Peter that while he learned his sense of responsibility from his Uncle Ben, it was May who taught him what a hero was, about putting others in front of yourself and about never giving up. Peter digs deep and manages to lift the portion of the restaurant that's keeping the people trapped. He then makes a ramp from his webbing, which allows them to climb to their freedom. With everyone else safe, May goes to climb but sees Alstetler under a table. She and the John Doe help him up, but the ceiling starts to give and May is pushed to safety. Spider-Man heads back down and manages to grab the guy before a gas line explodes. Spider-Man recognizes him. It's Ned Leeds. a former Bugle employee and husband of Betty Brant, a dear friend of Peter's, who was killed by the Hobgoblin after being framed for being the villain. Just like the Connors family, he got a second lease on life after being cloned, but Spider-Man thought he had died along with the others. Ned dies in Spider-Man's arms while asking him to protect Betty. Meanwhile, Billy Connors is being asked to a party by his friend when his dad knocks on his door. Kurt tries to apologize, but Billy cuts him off. He asks whether Kurt's sorry for keeping him locked in the sewers or for treating him like a freak that has to be hidden from everybody. All Billy wants to do is to be a normal kid, but he can't because of his dad. He slams his door. Kurt goes to knock again, but Martha stops him. She tells him to leave well enough alone and this will all have blown over by morning. But Billy isn't gonna calm down. He tells his friends that he's coming to the party and sneaks out. Ned can't be identified since there's no records of him being alive. May does her best to give him some sort of service. Peter decided against telling Betty, seeing as she never even knew Ned was cloned. He didn't want to put her through losing him again. After her recent experience, May plans to reopen the Feast Center, a shelter that was originally founded by Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative. May still had the key from when it was shut down. She calls Randy Robertson to help her reopen it, seeing as he has a degree in social work that he isn't putting to use. Taskmaster and Black Ant have delivered Rhino to Kraven. Kraven tells Arcade this will be the hunt that defines his legacy. Arcade has been reviewing Kraven's proposal and has a suggestion. He can get his hands on the blueprints for the shielding technology that Hydra once used to encapsulate the Earth during their takeover of the US. The only thing that can get through it is a pair of quantum bands. It'll be more than adequate security for a tiny African territory. But Arcade misunderstood Kraven. He's not putting the shield around his kingdom. He's putting it around Central Park. Family Matters puts the last few pieces in place for Hunted. Spider-Man kind of took a back seat in this story to allow other characters to get a spotlight. I really enjoyed the spotlight on May and where her story is going, but most of that though is covered in Volume 2 of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Next week's episode brings us to this run's first big story, Hunted. What has Kraven been planning? Find out next week.